Well, hello, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. It's Monday. Tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern, we'll be doing what we do, our live stream at 9 o'clock. Tune in. We got a lot going on in the world as well as with the Cowboys as we sit basically 6 weeks away from Dak Prescott's deal needing to be done, or else it will be the franchise tag. It's interesting because I actually just finished doing a live stream, not a typical live stream for me. Today was one of those days where I've seen so much news, read so much stuff that I just need to just step back for a minute. So my fortress of solitude is sitting around my fish pond. And I went down there and I was sitting there and I said, you know what, maybe this will help some other people too. So I just live stream, camera looking at the waterfall and the fish, and just sat there pretty much not doing a whole lot of talking, just chilling. And that helped to refresh me and re-energize me a bit. So everybody's got to find something that helps get you back to an even keel. So I checked on my port shoulder. That's just about done. I got 10 more degrees to go before it'll be perfect. And came back here on Twitter, and it was funny. We're looking at Dak busting, kind of like myth busting. There's so many things and assumptions that are made and arguments that people will make about Dak Prescott. And it's funny because most of them aren't true. Remember when they used to say dink and dunk Dak? And of course, last year, it turned out to be one of the best deep throwers in the NFL. Another one that I constantly hear where people say is, why are you going to pay Dak Prescott all of that money when Dak Prescott, it's all built around the running game? Without Zeke Elliott, the Cowboys can't do shit. Well, technically, they're 4-3 in games that Zeke Elliott hasn't played, but we'll leave that as it is. But an interesting thing, this is an interesting statistic, and I know most people will go back through and they'll say, yeah, I don't care about statistics, it's the eye test. Well, if you go ahead and watch the internet, the eye test, we can all be reading the same article, and depending on how that eye test is portrayed or the angle is portrayed, can look like two different things completely. So screw the eye test. Interesting statistic. John Proline had an article out last month that's worth reading on its own, but he wanted to pass on this one statistic. Prescott's QBR is actually better without Zeke Elliott, one of the best running backs on the field. His passer rating drops from 99.6 to 90.3. Clearly, almost 10% lower when Zeke's on the field versus when he's off. He also knows that Prescott has been when the Cowboys have gone with empty backfield, eliminating the threat of Elliott. It's kind of amazing. Did you expect that one? Because we're always told that without Zeke Elliott, the Cowboys are shot. Now, I got to be honest with you. We had some games, and you could look at, say, the Minnesota Viking game, that Minnesota was keying on Zeke Elliott. Zeke Elliott had under 50 yards in the game, could not run anything, but Dak had 3 touchdowns and 397 yards, and we should have won that game until the coaching decided we're going to go back to the run. After Dak Prescott drives them down the field in the red zone, they decide to take it out of Dak Prescott's hands. Another interesting piece here, because a lot of people keep saying, oh, you know what, screw Dak. He's too much. This is a full, long article, but I'm going to go through with just another little piece of it. They say, screw Dak Prescott. We can just go cheaper. We can go cheaper, Andy Dalton or one of these other guys, or we just draft another quarterback. Here's an interesting take on that. Okay, let me get here. The biggest arguments the Cowboys paying Prescott has been the idea that he's just not worth the money. that a team is better off going with a cheaper quarterback and committing its money elsewhere. That player could be a draft pick or a veteran like Andy Dalton, whom Dallas was actually able to bring on for $3 million after the Bengals cut the 32-year-old. I've argued in the past that a team cycles through young quarterbacks, although that was for a scenario in which a team was trading its signal caller for draft picks it would need to target a replacement. So a lot of people keep saying, well, just trade Dak, and get draft picks. Well, that only works if you sign Dak. So you'd have to at least sign him to a franchise tag to try and trade him. That's the only way that works. It doesn't work to say, "Oh, we're just going to trade him, even though we haven't signed him. We're not going to pay anything," because you don't own his rights until he signs either a long-term deal or the franchise tag. Either way, I'm not sure the Cowboys are that team. See, this is the key thing right here. For one, they have not shown particular good taste in quarterbacks. Ooh. They famously wanted to draft. Remember, when we got drafted Dak Prescott, Paxton Lynch. They tried to move up for Paxton Lynch, and they also wanted Connor Cook. They missed out on both of those guys, and it was kind of like, well, we'll take this guy, Prescott, and, we got Tony Romo for a few years. Hopefully we can find somebody down the road. They didn't think Dak Prescott was ever going to play for him. Understand that. Paxton Lynch and Connor Cook. And before that, you remember who they supposedly wanted and Jerry talked about? Johnny Manziel. Could you imagine if we had Paxton Lynch, Connor Cook, or Johnny Manziel? Oh, I know. But just say, but hey, they found Tony Romo, right? Well, Stephen Jones even admits that it was Sean Payton who found Tony Romo. It wasn't those guys. But let's dig a little bit deeper here, because I love this article. So in between Dak Prescott, the Cowboys used a second pick on Quincy Carter, a fourth rounder on Stephen McGee, and just 4 of 79. Let's say this again. Only 4 of 79 quarterbacks chosen in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th rounds. Okay. So quarterbacks that were chosen in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds from 1995 to 2015 made the Pro Bowl. That's 83 players drafted in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round. For 20 years, there's 4 that have actually played in a Pro Bowl. Dak Prescott's already been in 2. So what you're looking at is something, it's not typical. You don't usually find a quarterback late in the draft like you did with the Cowboys, and he plays at a high level. And here's another point. The idea that the Cowboys can just plug in a veteran like Dalton at a fraction of the price point and get similar results is plausible, although still unlikely. When a quarterback does well in a small sample, he still typically gets paid. Look at Nick Foles' contract with the Jaguars and Ryan Tannehill. That would deals the Titans made for examples. Even if Dalton were to exceed, Dallas would either likely be forced to pay Dillon something like $25 million or potentially keep looking for a new quarterback. So, we go back to this idea that Dak is trash. Dak is a dink and dunker, even though I think 3rd or 4th rated in deep passing. I believe 2nd most yards passing when they were a running team. 2nd in first 4 years of being a quarterback in total touchdowns in the history of the NFL. There's so many narratives that Dak Prescott is this, that, and the other, and majority of them don't hold water. You still have a guy tied for 2nd most wins in the NFL in his first 4 years, or in the last 4 years, I should say. It just gets to be crazy. That's all I can say. So, I got to go out here and check this port shoulder, and I got to get some work done in the shop. Make sure you tune in tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern. And we're going to keep on Debunking or Dak busting or whatever. We got to come up with a name for it. Debunking Dak. How about that? Debunking. That's it. Debunking Dak. That'll be our new series while we have some time to ourselves. I'm Mark Holmes, and well, I'll see you later.